I welcome you all and thank you all for coming. So the first thing that I would like to ask all of you is I'd like for each of you to give an introduction on your thoughts on this general subject, but even more so, there are some very passionate people in the audience who care about this. But there's also a lot of people who are watching our conference and are saying, oh, this is a great time to take a break. Joel Fuhrman's not speaking, and they're not talking about paleo versus plant-based. They're talking about EMFs and something called 5G. This doesn't really sound like something that's a serious health issue or an important issue. Maybe this is a good time to take a break from the real truth. We'll come back when they start talking about food again. But this stuff about invisible things that we can't even see, it just doesn't sound very serious, and I've never seen anyone, fall down and die from it. So maybe you could open up of why you guys are all so concerned about this, why you are speaking about this, writing books about this, and feeling like this is such an urgent topic. If you could give us some opening thoughts on what's on your mind, and help us to tell the public why this is something that should be on their radar too.
What do you recommend?
Hello,
Does that
hello,
now
hello,
there?
hello.
Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Okay. Does that work?
Gestures.
I just want to say I feel very grateful and privileged to be here in an audience of people who are concerned about health. And so thank you
Let me just interrupt and say, this is Katie Singer and that's Theodora Scarato. So Katie is speaking now.
Hi. Pardon? Okay. So, I'll say that for probably 20 years, I have not known what health is. So if the environment around us is toxic and radiated, then I don't know what health is, and I'm just talking for myself personally. So I just pose that question to all of us to say, what is health? What is health for me and what is health for the society? And to be open to the answer, I don't know, because then we can have constructive conversation. This is the Hippocrates Institute, and so we all know the Hippocratic Oath, which actually was not written by Hippocrates, but if the statement is first, do no harm, and we live in a world where much harm has been done and is continuing to be done, then again, how do we proceed? I do not have any real answers to this as much as I live with questions about these kinds of things. And I'm just very glad to be among people who are also open to these questions. In answer to Steve's questions about, why am I concerned and what is the frame that I live by, I go back billions of years ago when this planet was a mass of gases, water, rock, and dust. And then the sun heated the water, and we had a buildup of charge, and lightning began to strike. Actually, there was a bombardment of lightning that went on for millions of years. And out of that, we got nucleic and amino acids, and plants began to grow. and that provided oxygen so that animals, including humans, could show up. Humans are really new to this whole process, of course. Mostly what I read is that humans have been here for about 200,000 years. Okay, then I'm going to take us back 250 years ago, which is really modern history. And that's when we humans developed the ability to generate, store, and transmit electrical energy. Then we got the electromagnet, I believe in 1844, and we could start making motors and machines. Radio and I think we had radio and TV around 1904, am I right? And people were so excited, especially with the electronic appliances that people could put into their homes. So we got blenders and vacuum cleaners and washing machines and refrigerators and TVs and radios, and life changed drastically. In 1934, Congress passed the Broadcasting Act, and that established the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. And basically, the idea was go forth and invent whatever you've got, and let's get this economy going, and let's just free up everyone's imagination to build the kind of electronics that we can't even dream of right now in 1934. And so with the establishment of the FCC, there was a definition from the FCC, which has never, I should say, been staffed by anyone other than engineers who really want to build electronic devices. And the FCC defined harmful interference. Harmful interference is anything that interferes with existing radio or TV broadcasts. Now that definition includes internet and cellular services. So in other words, if you're running a radio and a light at the same time with a dimmer switch and you get interference, that's harmful interference, one machine to another. Harmful interference at the FCC has never included biological harm. So that was 1934 that we passed that. How do we live almost 100 years later in a world where biological harm is not recognized? Okay, let me just give you a couple other things. For me, it's very important to have basic vocabulary about the reality that we're in. Congress updated the Broadcasting Act in 1996. Section 704 states that no health or environmental concern can interfere with the placement of a cellular antenna. Can I say that again? You want me to say it again? Section 704 states that no health or environmental concern can interfere with the placement of a cellular antenna. That means if I am AT&T or Verizon and I want to put a cell tower on your neighbor's property because I've signed a contract with your neighbor, it could be right next to a school, it could be on a school, and I go to your town council and I say, give me a permit, I'm AT&T. If your town says, we are concerned about the health issues here, that is, you can't do that. The town cannot do that since 1996. So the only reasons that you're able to protest an antenna that is installed on private property or public property that's leased, the only reason is because you don't like the look of the thing. That's basically the reason. You don't like the aesthetics. I think Theodora's going to talk a little about specific absorption rates that were determined in the mid-90s. I'm not sure. We'll get to that, but even if you don't. But trying to remember what else I was wanting. Okay, another thing at the FCC. It only recognizes thermal effects, and I should say immediate thermal effects. So they gave a plastic dummy that weighs 220 pounds, filled his head with salty, sugary fluid, and they took this plastic dummy's temperature. And then they gave the dummy a cell phone for 6 minutes. And then they took the dummy's temperature again. And because the temperature had not changed by 2 degrees Celsius in those 6 minutes, you can buy a cell phone. The test was looking at immediate thermal effects. We have thousands of studies showing non-thermal effects. That would include breakdown of the blood-brain barrier. That would include the cancer and DNA damage that the NTP study that Theodora talked about reports on. That would include how wildlife are impacted, how behavior is impacted when a pregnant woman uses a cell phone, and how her offspring are impacted, say, 5 or 6 years later, if the mother uses a cell phone during pregnancy. Those are non-thermal effects, and the FCC does not recognize them. We are now facing 5G, and later I will tell you what's happening in Congress in the last 2 weeks with this new Congress. And there is one little ray of hopefulness from Congresswoman Eshoo in California, but we want to tell you about what's going on there. Another thing that I wanted to say. Every cell in our bodies functions by electrochemical signals. So in other words, my brain remembering that I want to tell you something, that's an electrochemical signal. Digesting food is an electrochemical function. Everything we do, my hands moving right now, is an electrochemical signal. I take my cues, as all living creatures do, from the Earth's natural electrochemical environment, the natural electromagnetic fields in the environment. And so what we've done in the last 100 years is drastically change that environment. And so now we come to this question, what is health now, and what is possible? And you know, where does anyone have control? So those are some of the questions I'm asking. Thank you.